Welcome to the new studio. I've got your week 4 injuries. I've got your buy lows.
Intro.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. Smitty. Take a lap.
Okay, let's kick it off with the bad news. I've got a lot of injuries to go over, and then we're going to go over a lot of the buy low players. So get ready. Austin Ekeler out multiple weeks, knee and hamstring, not good. We just got him back firing on all cylinders after a little bit of a slow and scary start. Then he gets hurt. But what's new? Enter Joshua Kelly, who's looked really good so far this year. Hopefully you can buy low on some of the guys I'm going to talk about in the video, like McCaffrey, like Lamar Jackson. Although I know Lamar was a buy low last night, I don't know that you can buy him low now. He had 3 TDs and had a pretty good outing. But there are options to revamp your team and to get back into the winning mode. And if one big injury at running back wasn't enough, Nick Chubb goes down in week 4 with a knee injury. My guess is multiple games as well. But, I'm not trying to celebrate injury, but Kareem Hunt has been a league winner for a reason. And I think that if you own Kareem Hunt right now, you're probably looking pretty good. That league winning potential that Hunt had is about to get showcased. I think if you own both of them, you're probably okay. But if you own just Nick Chubb, this is what I was afraid of from the beginning. Why I faded drafting Nick Chubb in late August and heading into September is because Kareem Hunt was too expensive to even handcuff. And Kareem Hunt's been playing like a high-end running back too. Some could argue running back 1 before this injury. He's going to eat a ton right now. He could be a top 5 running back moving forward for as many games as he's starting. Now, they'll use multiple running backs. They kind of did in week 4, but Kareem Hunt's going to eat, and he's going to eat a lot. So congrats to all you that drafted Kareem Hunt, and hopefully he can deliver for you and stay healthy. With this offseason, we don't know what the hell we're dealing with. Now we're going to get into Josh Allen got hurt as well, came out of the game, but returned shoulder injury. They'll probably monitor it. You'll see news pop up. I'm sure he'll be all over news reports heading into week 5, but it looks like he's okay. He did return to the game. On to the buy lows for week 5. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I talked a lot about this last night. I talked about it on the Pat Mayo Network as well. Christian McCaffrey is the best buy low you can find in fantasy football. Don't let somebody else swoop in and offer some kind of garbage offer and get McCaffrey. Now you're asking, what should I trade? Should I trade a Kareem Hunt? You could, if you could weather through it. You shouldn't if you can't. Context matters. Who you have matters. Whether you picked up James Robinson or you have Antonio Gibson and you can get by for a couple weeks, that matters. If you're 2-2, that matters. If you're 0-4, that matters. I ultimately need the context in order to know what to advise you. So comment below and give me a little bit of detail. Don't write a novel. Think about it in these terms. If you were drafting today, you would draft Christian McCaffrey in the first round, even if he was suspended for the first 2 games of the season. So the moment they tell you McCaffrey's 2 weeks out, he will regain his first round value. And you will have missed an opportunity to buy that player a week early. His owners are willing to give him up early if they're losing. Take full advantage because you could win your league because of it. Especially if you've accumulated the James Robinsons and you have Antonio Gibson. Now you have Kelly. You might be able to trade Joshua Kelly and a wide receiver that's popping off like Robbie Anderson or Crowder and get a deal done that you did not think could get done. Trade for Mike Thomas before it's too late. Trade for Lamar Jackson before his value climbs completely back to normal. We did a live last night where as a community we did a top 5 quarterback ranking. He came in at number 5. That was a group of people voting in the chat. I had him at number 2. I still have him at number 2. Of course, I have Kyler, Josh Allen, Wilson, all right there. It's very arguable. I find it funny when someone says that someone's off base by having Wilson 2 or having Wilson 4 or having Kyler 3 or Kyler 2 or Josh Allen 2. You could have any of that combination going on. They're all that good. So spare me the,
well, how could you not have so-and-so ranked here?
But Lamar Jackson being ranked number 5 on my live tells me that the temperature of my audience and everybody else is pointing to that Lamar is no longer Lamar. And even though he had 3 TDs, I bet you his owners are still a little bit worried about getting the Lamar they paid for. So it's not a bad idea to swoop in and grab the guy at value that's well below where they probably drafted him, which was like I don't know, 3.01. So equating it to draft value, you might be able to get him like 12 spots later in equivalent value. That's a steal. That could win you a league. Trade a player that's popping off right now and your quarterback and get Lamar. Would I trade my boy Tom Brady for Lamar? Absolutely. You might be able to pull that off. Would I trade A-Rod and a wide receiver that's doing really well for Lamar? Absolutely. Make a bold move. Win your league through a bold move. Spark your comeback through a bold move. There's a lot of moves to be made. Mike Thomas can still be bought because he didn't return. He might be disappointing his owners. His owner might be 1-3, 0-4. You don't know until you try. Go poke around at Mike Thomas on the cheap. Odell Beckham Jr. had 3 TDs today. Everybody was getting down on him. I was too. I admit it. But do I take Mike Thomas over Odell? Absolutely. And the Mike Thomas owner has been so disappointed for so many weeks straight, he might pull that trigger. You might get Christian McCaffrey for Odell. Sell Odell high. Don't sell him low. I like Odell, but sell him high. Sell Chris Carson high, coming off a 2 TD game. He barely made it out of the game. The guy's going to leave you hanging when it counts most. Sell Carson high. Sell Odell high. Buy AJ Brown on the cheap, especially with the off week. He was supposed to miss the week. Now it's postponed. It's like a get out of miss a game free card. Go get AJ Brown. DJ Chark came back on a tear in week 4. Now everyone's going to forget all the doubt they had surrounding the guy heading into week 4. And you can no longer trade for Chark on the low. Regardless of the Monday night game and everybody worried about the Chiefs not playing on Monday night and something happening to that game that was moved, go buy low on Clyde Edwards-Helaire before it's too late. Maybe you can pull off some deal that still is pending and goes through the next week. I have so many people asking me on a weekly basis, do I bench Clyde? Do I trade Clyde? What do I do with Clyde? They're panicking around Clyde. Take advantage. Devontae Parker, sell high. Diggs 115 in week 4. Count on him to continue to do well. Allen Robinson 101 and 1 TD. Obviously, he's back to form with Foles, but I would consider selling high if the price was right. Josh Allen had 288 and 2 TDs. You might be able to buy low. Someone might think, oh God, maybe he isn't as good as I thought. Buy low. I can't tell you how many people still had Josh Allen on the bench heading into week 3. They weren't buying into it yet. Not everybody sold on him, believe it or not. And owners panic over, I want to get rid of a player before they drop off. Darrell Henderson rushed 8 times for 22 yards. The Rams coaching staff drives me nuts. 8 carries for 22 yards for Darrell Henderson. Joe Mixon 151 and 2 TDs. You could sell high on him. We talked about this heading into the week last night on the live, that Mixon was a good buy low. And the reason Mixon was a good buy low is because I told you not to draft him heading into week 1, heading into September and August, because the cost was too high. Before this week, you could have traded for him on the cheap. You still may be able to if he has another couple bad weeks. I'm not for sure he's going to go crazy from here on out. He could still have some ups and downs. But Mixon has been forced to try and run against 8-man fronts constantly because defenses have said, we're going to make Joe Burrow beat us through the air. Now that Burrow's doing better, we knew that it would be easier for Mixon to find room to run. He still could be up and down, but the bottom line is if you bought him this week, you bought him low, and I like that value a whole lot more. Waiting on Mixon and trading for him like after his slump, after people gave up on him, that was the play, and congrats to all of you that did pull it off, last night and the night before. To be honest, I didn't really make a big push go get him this week, but the comeback was probably going to happen, and the buy low opportunity, we didn't know where that was. So for those of you that acted on it, nice work. I really like going and buying Zeke Elliott on the cheap. The Cowboys are playing really bad, and they're only running him 12 times for 54 yards. That means that they need to revamp and reshape the way that they're deploying their offense. He did have 8 catches for 71. They're passing a lot. I think Elliott bounces back in a big way in his next game moving forward. It could be a game or two before he gets firing on all cylinders, but I'm trading for Zeke. I think he's number 2 or number 3 overall if you're drafting today. And if you can cuff him to Pollard, you're protected on all kinds of fronts because Zeke is like COVID. Pollard's a top 5 to 10 running back if he's starting. I go buy Zeke right now if you can. And a lot of you are going to say, Smitty,
what do I give up?
I think a good player to potentially look to give up would be a James Robinson for Zeke straight up. A Joe Mixon who just went crazy. An Allen Robinson and a player. Sell high, buy low. One more thing on J.K. Dobbins. Go get him now. He's probably going to get cut in a lot of leagues. He had 16 yards in this game. People are going to be like,
he's not doing well now. He's not going to ever do well.
Because if you don't do well in the first 4 weeks,
you're done. You're done to me.
This is a patient move. This is a grab, hold, and wait. There's no now for J.K. Dobbins. The opportunity is later. The top 10 potential running back numbers are later. Grab them, hold them. Same thing with Zach Moss. Nothing's happening right now. If you're expecting that and you want to cut him and you're emailing me, Smitty, I just don't believe in Moss. I don't see what you see in him. You don't see anything in him. He's not playing yet. Same thing with J.K. Dobbins. What do you mean you don't see anything in J.K. Dobbins? Why don't we wait until he gets on the field and gets a lot of run? Now, I don't know what to do with Kenyan Drake. I'll be completely honest with you. And you know what? It's not him. He's talented. The situation blows, but situation is part of the value. You cannot separate situation and player. They are one and the same. And I don't know what to tell you at this point. You can't really sell low. Who's going to come buying? If you've done great on the waiver wire or drafted a ton of depth, you can definitely put him on the bench until he comes back to life. And he may not. We knew he had a lot of that risk of being either number 4 or 5 overall for running backs or falling out of the top 25. He had that kind of risk. Make sure you go get Edmonds if you do own Drake. But I'm not ready to give up on him entirely, but I understand if you need to bench him right now moving forward, pending his reemergence, if he ever even does. I'm not going to land everything, people, and I have no words of encouragement here to tell you that it's going to be okay with Drake, because it might not be. But don't cut him. Mike Davis, 84 and a touchdown, 5 catches. He had 8 and 8 the week before. That's crazy production. And if you own Mike Davis and you own McCaffrey, you're doing fine. If you own Mike Davis and you don't own McCaffrey, go poke around and get McCaffrey. Try and pair the duo together from here on out using just the one starting slot each week. Whether it's Mike Davis or McCaffrey, you probably have a number 1, number 2, or number 3 overall running back from this point moving forward with just one player starting at a time. So go value that out with your roster and trying to figure out how to make it work. Metcalf continues to drop loads. 4 for 6, 106. I love him moving forward. He's top 10. He's a top 10 wide receiver. Ceedee Lamb could be sold high in redraft. Don't even think about selling him in Dynasty. I love the guy in Dynasty, but 79 yards and 2 TDs. Don't expect that kind of production on a weekly basis, and if you can sell him at that production level, go ahead and try. Golladay, 62 yards and 1 TD. I feel like people still don't know how high this guy's ceiling is, and I go buy low because that's not enough to scare someone off of making some kind of 2-for-1 deal where you could send them 2 players and get Golladay back. Or maybe you have Adams, or you have Hopkins, or you have Tyreek Hill. You could get Golladay and a running back in order to supplement some injuries that you got going on.
Tom Brady sucks, Smitty. He's not the player you said he'd be.
Well, 5 TDs and 300 plus yards says different. Imagine when Tom Brady is playing with a full deck moving forward. As much as I like Justin Jefferson for Dynasty, like he's legit, you could sell high in redraft. He had 4 catches for 103 yards in week 4. Lat Murray had 64 yards and 2 TDs in week 4. That was kind of interesting, and he has flex type value pretty much on a weekly basis in very large leagues. Scary Terry McLaurin taking care of business at the office today. 118. Adam Thielen, I sell high, 114 yards and a touchdown. Not that I sell low. I sell high if you need to get out of a jam and you can maximize this type of value. Mike Evans. Talked about Tom Brady. Mike Evans was hurt and he got 122 and a touchdown. Hurt. The dude had 122 and a touchdown this week. 2 catches for 2 TDs last week. 104 off 7 catches and 1 TD the week before and a touchdown in week 5. He scored every single week. He has 5 TDs in 4 games and his targets have been 4, 10, 4, and 8. And he looks great. Even though he's hurt, he looks dominant. I can only imagine what he's going to do if he gets fully healthy with Tom Brady throwing him the football. They've got great rapport, him and Tom Brady. Dak Prescott, 502 and 4 TDs. I mean, I would say sell high if you can, but what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do at quarterback? Would I trade him for Lamar straight up? Yeah, I'd do something like that. If you've got a good backup quarterback and you listen to me, you took A-Rod late, maybe you could trade Dak for a Christian McCaffrey type move or Mike Thomas. That's going to do it. Thank you for joining me in the new studio. Expect a whole lot more content moving forward now that I'm moved in. I'm ready to roll. Don't forget to check out my sleeperu.com site for all my bold predictions and rankings. And then don't forget, you can order a phone call from me right now. And we can talk about whatever you want at heysmitty.com. Order a call. Let's talk. Let's talk about your trades. We can talk about movies. What Netflix movie do you need? I know movies almost better than I know football. But I'll talk to you about whatever. I even got a psych degree. Use me, take advantage of it. Let's talk. Let's get your team going. Let's get some trades cooking later.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Smitty.